Hello, everybody, and welcome once again. So, for this video, I'm going to be talking about the movies I watched for the first time last year, 2020. My God, what a terrible year that was. I'm sure most of you would agree. And I'm going to be ranking them in order of what I consider to be worst to best. And this video is based on only my opinion and nobody else's. So basically, this not only includes movies that have been released in 2020, but also what I saw for the very first time, whether it be on TV and streaming sites. I mean, I think that would have been common in that year because, cinemas wouldn't have been open by then. But anyway, let's begin. I've watched about 77 videos for the very first time in 2020. So, starting with my least favourite, which is Date Movie. Yeah, pretty obvious why this one's ranked the lowest. Two words, Friedberg and Setzer. Um, that being said, I'd take Date Movie any day over Disaster Movie. Why? Because it at least has more of a storyline compared to Disaster Movie, where Disaster Movie was just random. And it's about a lady who finds true love. Yeah, that's pretty much typical for a rom-com, which is one of my least favorite genres. The way Friedberg and Setzer had been going, Date Movie is kind of no difference to their other films in the end. I mean, they've still got forced pop cultural references and parodies that aren't even funny. The only time I laughed was the zip bit, which doesn't sound like a good sign. Oh, and don't even get me started on that scene where that cat is excreting inside a lavatory built for humans. Because, that was so not funny. Date Movie was without a doubt one of the worst films of all time. End of story, goodbye, the end. Now, let's forget about it, move on to some slightly better movies. Next one is High School Musical. Didn't see that when it first came out. It's a TV movie. Came out in 2006, and it was on the Disney Channel, and I ain't got the Disney Channel. Most people who I knew from this performing arts group, which I performed some of the songs from, they were familiar with it. I wasn't. I got to be honest, I was never keen on the songs in the first place. Now that I've seen it, it's not got a good storyline either. It's so forgettable. It's just some love story. That's it. Next one is Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. One of Robert Rodriguez's films. I was particularly oblivious to the negative reviews it got. IMDb ranks it as one of the bottom 100 films of all time. Due to the ratings. But once I saw it, I could definitely see why. I mean, it seems to have started off good, but then we got pretty naff special effects and not so good acting and pointless fart jokes, which shouldn't be allowed in a kids' movie, methinks. I particularly didn't like the brain fights that the kid and that school bully have, especially when the protagonist says brain farts. That's such cringe-worthy effects in the end. At number 74, we've got Double Act, TV movie. I think it was on Channel 4. And it's about a couple of twin girls. I believe their father's widowed and has got a new girlfriend, and the twins don't really get on with the new girlfriend of their dad's. It was very forgettable. Didn't like the score. Didn't like the way the guitar riff was composed to this, the do 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 do. It didn't sound right. Next up is Bullseye from 1990. I think it's got Michael Caine in it. Some comedy heist movie, not quite as memorable as other comedy heist movies that I've seen. And then we've got the live action version of The Lion King, which I'm glad I didn't see in cinemas. I saw the cartoon when I was 4, and yeah, I can tell you the cartoon is way better than this version. There was no reason for a live action version of The Lion King. You couldn't see um, the facial expressions that you identified that made the characters identifiable in the first place. And yeah, all it is, much like the live action version of Beauty and the Beast, it's all it is a live action duplicate of the original. Next up is another Disney movie. It's Holes, about some kid who goes to a camp, stealing some shoes. Not quite so memorable. I've seen better ones. Oh, and yeah, I think I remembered someone farts in that one. Yeah, no reason for that to even be in there. Then we have another Disney movie, which is Frozen 2. I remember the year before, me and my girlfriend at the time, we were going to either see that or Last Christmas, and eventually we went to see Last Christmas. Kind of glad now, because now that I've seen Frozen 2 on some online site, yeah, it's not a good follow up to Frozen 1. It's too random. Elsa developed some sort of schizophrenic issue, which seems very forced. And it's got this line, "We're all in this together," which is repeated over and over again. I mean, as much as I agree with this statement, it's getting boring now. Then we've got Hairspray. I refer to the musical version. It's got John Travolta and Christopher Walken in it. I remember performing some of the songs in this performing arts group, and I never saw the film then. That was until last year when I decided to give it a look. And yeah, it wasn't that brilliant. It was just, yeah, weight issues. It's become a cliche now. I did like the protest march, the anti-racist protest march. That was quite good, but meh to the songs. Okay, now that we're up to Enchanted, yep, that's all the movies I slightly dislike out of the way. Now, starting with the more average ones, starting with Enchanted, another Disney movie. It's a nice mix of live action animation, though we have seen it before in other Disney movies. But I do like the interaction between the princess and the businessman, but I think the princess is just too cheery for my taste, too sappy. And there's a little bit of a confused plot point that involves a dragon. But other than that, decent movie. Next is A Witch's Ball. Didn't really hear about that one until I saw it on Netflix. Yeah, I had Netflix for a little bit of a while. It's and yeah, purpose was that I was going to watch some family movies, to do a little bit of research on my writing course, because I'm planning to write family movies at some point. Which is not quite as memorable, and I don't know why that servant for that witch girl is just says toilet. I mean, Is this just an excuse to include, like toilet humor to the kids? Do they really need this? See that stuff? I don't think so. I mean, luckily it couldn't have been worse, I guess. Thankfully, there's no farting and excreting. That I would, I'd be disgusted. But thankfully, no. The next movie is Cars 3. Didn't like Cars 1 or Cars 2. Thought they were obnoxious pieces of crap. Pixar's worst. But Cars 3 I thought was a little bit better than I thought. It's, it was much less obnoxious, let's be honest. And, yes, I suppose, I mean, it's been done in other films. I think the Rocky movies for one, but Lightning McQueen is being threatened to enter retirement. I suppose it's natural since, he's a car and he's been racing for all of his life, and cars, vehicles in general, though they tend to wear down a little bit. So, yeah, a lot better than the first two. And then we have the Willoughbys, which I saw on Netflix, and it was released directly on Netflix. Obvious reasons. Ricky Gervais does is a great voice talent as the cat who narrates the whole film. And the titular family don't seem to have much identity, apart from the from the girl and her older brother. I didn't care much for the twin brothers. Weren't very identifiable. I think there was some occasions when the father and the mother were like made situations awkward. Had their love for each other, but gave no crap about their kids. And I think the nanny was too jolly. I think kind of a rip off to Mary Poppins, but it was decent. Then we have Little Giants, another family movie I saw. Did I see it on Netflix? I can't remember. It was directed by the same guy who did Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, Dwayne Dunham. That's it. Though I think I like the latter better. But see, as for Little Giants, yes, I'm in favour of a sports comedy. This one, focusing on a guy who coaches a Pee-wee American football team. My big issue with that is the fact that one of the players passes too much wind. Look, just because farting is funny in real life doesn't make it funny to watch. I don't know what it is with filmmakers and putting fart jokes in kids' movies. Next up is The Incredibles 2, follow up to The Incredibles. I'm kind of liking it a little bit better than Incredibles 1 because, it was quite long. I mean, I'm in favour of a superhero movie that's entirely original and, based on a family. Though the first one was a little bit slow at times, and the midlife crisis that Mr. Incredible has seems to drag too much. This one, though, it was good. It was okay. It was slightly better. I would have liked to have seen the parents and the kids age at least a little bit. But it was decent. Not a lot to say about it. Next is How High. Can't Can't remember. Not a lot to say about that one, but it's decent. Pirate movie, loosely based on Pirates of uh, Penance, one of Gilbert and Sullivan's plays, and I'd always wanted to see a film adaptation of a Gilbert and Sullivan play, and yeah, oh far better to live and die. It's one of my favorite songs, and well, it's rather cheesy. I have to admit, it's not the best adaptation. I have to admit, but it's fairly decent. And next we got another family movie called Nativity, which yeah, saw it on YouTube. Um, got David Tennant as the main teacher. Um, I was in favour of watching a film which is set in a primary school in England, and it's quite different. Um, though the teaching assistant is too cheery and whimsical for my taste, and I like the rehearsals that the kids have, for the nativity play, and I mean he seems to be a fairly good role model for the kids. But did he have to say at one point, "Can you ensure that you've done a poo and a wee before you've gone in?" It's, I mean, yeah, that stuff's not really needed. Now we have the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Well, I didn't see it when it came. I mean, it came out that year, but I didn't see it in the cinemas. Did ask my then girlfriend if she was interested, but well, she doesn't play video games. She always considered them a waste of time. I can't really blame her. But I mean, it was good. Jim Carrey was great as Doctor Robotnik. Uh, the effects done on Sonic the Hedgehog weren't too bad. I mean, they were in the original trailer, but seem to have improved it. But yeah, fart jokes. Come on, they weren't needed in that movie. It was fairly obnoxious at times and stuff. In fact, I was a little bit annoyed because I'd thought about an idea for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but hey, looks like other filmmakers have beat me to it, so who am I to complain? And then at number 58 is Atoll K, 57 is Kicking and Screaming, 56 is Little Colonel. Next one is Hairspray. I refer to the 1988 version. It's a non-musical. It's decent. I mean, it's much like the musical, except it doesn't have the songs in, and yeah, it's slightly more mature. Not not very memorable, but likes it a little bit better than the musical. 54 is Killer's Kiss, by Stanley Kubrick. It's his second film. First one being Fear and Desire. Yes, quite a good pursuit movie. Not quite as memorable, but hey, it's good effort. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Another Disney movie. I got to be honest, Wreck-It Ralph is not one of my all-time favourites, but Ralph Breaks the Internet I like better. I don't really care much about the internet. Yeah, I think the stuff about it is quite overrated nowadays. Though this film did make Penelope much less annoying than she was in Wreck-It Ralph. And well, there's a scene where Ralph notices the follows and unfollow the unfollowing procedure, which I suppose is kind of relatable as far as last year had gone. I mean, the pandemic and all that. Lots of people had to use the internet to bully each other, and yeah, that's why I got touched by that scene. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, even though I think the internet is an overrated subject matter, yeah, that I think that scene kind of saved me from that. Next up at 52, we have Vacation. I referred to the 2015 film, which is the most recent film in the Vacation franchise. Out and well, you're gonna see a few more of those films on this list later on, but I'll get there. Um, it's great to, I mean, it's great to see Rusty Griswold's grown up and with a family of his own. Yeah, this movie focuses on him and his family for a change. I mean, yeah, you still see Clark and Ellen Griswold and his sister Audrey um, moving on with their lives. I mean, the comedy's not quite as good as comedy elements are not quite as good in there as they were in the previous films. I mean, it still holds up fairly well. I don't particularly like what they did with Audrey's character. I mean, don't think Leslie Mann was the right choice for her. Maybe she's too much of a bimbo. I mean, Audrey might not be as intelligent as her brother, but I think she had certainly had common sense, and yeah, she was smart enough in the previous films. But no, they kind of dumbed her down rather. I mean, she's now married to uh, this redneck jock named Stone, and hmm, what else was I not fond of? I wasn't quite fond of Chad's bits. The rafting guide um, who is suicidal after his engagement has ended. I don't think that drove the plot forward enough. I think that bit could have been taken out. It was too depressing for a film like Vacation. Next is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. One of the films I saw on Netflix. Um, lovely, lovely set designs. I can see those kinds of set designs on a steampunk movie. Um, main ish, main issue with that is, of course, fart jokes. This time coming from a privet lion. I mean, good God, why include fart jokes? But anyway, at number 50, we've got Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Not quite as brilliant as the 1995 film with Robin Williams in it, but it was fun to watch. I mean, this time we've got the kids playing some sort of video game based on Jumanji, and this time they enter this virtual reality, and they appear to be grown up. And yeah, that's where we're introduced to Dwayne Johnson and them other lots. So yeah, I'd recommend having a look at it. And then we've got Tank Girl. I had a look at that particularly because I was doing a little bit of research on the cyberpunk and steampunk derivatives, and diesel punk came into the context, and I was quite curious on what counted as a diesel punk movie, and Tank Girl was included in the list, so I had a look at that. It's all right. Um, One thing I kind of questioned was the scene with the fun with those Thundercat looking creatures. Um, it was quite bizarre. And at number 48 is Dolphin Kick, and number 47 is Ultra Marines, a Warhammer 40,000 movie. And then we got 46, which is Bridge to Terabithia, and 45, Race to Witch Mountain. Number 44 is Jackass 3D. Yeah, I do quite like Jackass, the Jackass series. It's always been a guilty pleasure of mine. It's quite hilarious to see those guys perform such ridiculous stunts and all that. Wouldn't say it's as memorable as the first two, but it still holds up. Number 43, we've got Monster House. 42 is Dementia 13 by Francis Ford Coppola. 41 is The Pope Must Die, which was directed by Peter Richardson. And another Peter Richardson film at number 40, which is the comic strip presents The Strike. Number 39 is Born to Boogie, which is a music documentary, which was apparently directed by Ringo Starr and focuses on Mark Bolan. I myself am a huge fan of glam rock music. It's one of my favourite music genres of all time. And this one's about T-Rex. And it's always interesting to see those guys perform. Number 38 is Carry On Girls. I saw that in another Carry On film in memory of Barbara Windsor, who was quite a frequent collaborator with the Carry On team. I mean, I mostly did remember her as Peggy Mitchell from EastEnders. Boy, what a character she was. Oh, and as that blonde lady from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the lady who goes to this fair with Arthur Mullard. That's a different story. I mean, I was looking at which films from the Carry On franchise that I hadn't watched yet, and I thought, why not? Barbara Windsor, she's been in most of them. I thought while I was at it, I'd have a look at the ones that Wendy Richards was in as well. Because, I hardly saw her in very many feature films. And also, she was also a fellow EastEnder as Pauline Fowler. Yeah, Carry On Girls is very funny, and it's always a pleasure to watch those films. Always light-hearted entertainment, and I think there's one scene where the ladies are exercising and one of them loses their bra in the process. That was quite amusing. They're not exactly Schindler's List or To Kill a Mockingbird or E.T., but I guess they don't have to be. Next is Children of Men. Obviously, the pandemic has caused a huge stir, and my girlfriend at the time showed me this. She was quite aware of the virus, and she showed me this film, which is quite similar to the events that we experienced. Though I'm trying not to think about it because I gotta be honest, I've been quite traumatized throughout the whole situation. But it does tell the story very well. And next up is You Were Never Really Here by Lynn Ramsey. I saw that in another film by Lynn Ramsey, which I'll get to later on. This one's about someone who was formerly a pedophile, but it seems to be changing its ways. Um, it's quite an interesting storyline going on. Number 35 is Little Women, a film that myself and my girlfriends saw in cinemas. Quite good. Um, I mean, I haven't really watched that many costume dramas, uh, love stories, but this one was quite good. It was pleasant. It had Emma Watson in it, and it was not too bad at all. Next is Tim Burton's version of Dark Shadows. Um, I It was always a good effort on the set designs. Tim Burton, he's one of my favorite directors. Yeah, the set designs are one of the reasons why I enjoy his works. Um, though I've not seen the original series. I mean, here it's a soap opera, um, well, that's not really the point. But I think possibly it's a little bit criminal not to see a movie before seeing the original series. But well, it was decent. It was quite enjoyable. And then we got Burn Paris Burn, which I saw with some friends on Halloween, and yeah, great imagery, I would say, no, but not a lot to say about this one though. Then we've got What We Did on Our Holiday, which has got Billy Connolly as the grandfather, and basically what's happening is well, I think there's a huge family feud going on, and yeah, even I think only the kids seem to be the sane ones, and then somehow the grandfather dies, but and the kids try to do something good for him. Though minor nitpick, he there's a he farts at one point, but it's not too much to ruin the whole film. And next up, 31 is Tango and Cash. Number 30 is True Romance. 29, Fear and Desire. 28, Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. And number 27 is Let It Be, a documentary which is about the Beatles and their recording of the final album that came out. Well, not the final one that was being produced, but the final one that came out. Yeah, it highlights some of the issues that the Beatles were having before they split up permanently. Yeah, permanently. It's quite a shame, really, because they were a great band, and they've not reunited since. I would quite like to see Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr play once again. I mean, it's a shame that George Harrison and John Lennon ain't around no more. I mean, they could always get Pete Best. Anyway, it does highlight the issues they had very well, and yeah, I think despite its U certificate, now I think there is one mention of the F word. Next one is Onward. Came out exactly last year. I didn't get around to seeing it. I think I was quite busy at the time, and also I think cinemas had closed before Onwards could carry on being shown, if you know what I mean. Quite good. Quite a good Pixar movie. It's what you could consider an elf punk movie because yeah, basically it's about elves living in the modern world, and those two brothers they're trying to resurrect their deceased dad. Only, yeah, it's only they can't get his full body until they find some missing pieces of the puzzle, which proves to be frustrating for them. So, I mean, the fact that only their dad's legs are showing is amusing, but a little bit too gimmicky. But but like most Pixar movies, it does have some heart. Next up is another Carry On film, which is Carry On Matron. That was the other movie, Carry On movie I was watching earlier that year. It's amused. I think slightly more amusing than Carry On Girls. Not a lot to say about it, but next one is Amelie. I did once watch it when I studied my HND in digital filmmaking at Northampton University. I didn't get to see the whole film, which was a pity, but now that I have, yeah, that's why it's on this list, because I've watched it in full. Got some good writing. This French woman, when she's at one point, she's distracted by this news story about Princess Diana being killed in a car crash. Then she drops this glass ball, and it hits the loose plug socket in the wall. It's very well filmed and very well directed. Yes, it is a rom-com, but it's one that's done quite well. And then we've got The Post by Steven Spielberg. Quite a political one. It's very pleasant. Tom Hanks does a good job. Not a lot to say about it, mind you, but still. Next movie is The Wizard. I know some people said that they don't like this movie, but I quite like it. It's about this guy named Jimmy, I think he's on the autistic spectrum, but certainly has post-traumatic stress disorder. He's traumatized by the events of losing his twin sister, and wants to go to California, in honor of her memory. But he's being placed in one of those care homes. Thankfully, his older brother managed to take him from there, and then they team up with this girl. They notice that Jimmy has video game playing skills, and very good ones. Goes to show that even those on the autistic spectrum can develop skills, and they can have really intelligent ones. It's quite funny though. I think it's got some great amusing moments, like whilst they're being pursued by this cop, I think he starts to hassle Jimmy while he's playing on one of the arcades, and the girl's like, "He touched my breast." I always got a laugh out of that one. So I'd say it's worth a watch. In fact, it's also by Todd Holland, who I believe directed some of the episodes of Malcolm in the Middle. A great start to his career as well. Next up is Flushed Away, an Aardman Animations film. I am a huge fan of Aardman Animations, and I've grown up with Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run. Don't know why I didn't see Flushed Away when it first came out. Probably didn't get round to it at the time. But it's a CGI animated movie, but it does look. I think it does look stop motion. I mean the characters do um, look similar in style, but well, that doesn't matter. It's still um, I mean, yeah, it's. I think much of the action takes place in a sewer, and the main character has to dive into a lavatory. Yeah, it does sound disgusting, but but Aardman Animations handle it very well. It's well worth a watch. And Aardman's always a lot of fun. Then we have The Wolf of Wall Street, one of Martin Scorsese's finest. This one's got Leonardo DiCaprio playing this stockbroker. He's seems to be scamming a lot of customers into buying into his business, and and he's quite a good manipulator. It's yeah, it does show the pros and cons of running a business, and it's quite a good biopic because yeah, it's based on a true story. Um, and even my ex girlfriend agreed with me about it. Then we got My Neighbor Totoro. Um, I do remember when I did A level film studies, I did see this one clip from My Neighbor Totoro. Yeah, I think it was the bit where May, the younger sister, was following this rabbit in into the forest and then discovering the titular character. Good community, and yeah, kind of like ET. You know, the communication between the girls and the creature, how they interact with each other. It's yeah, it's got a lot of heart, and yeah, it's the girls they're living with their father while the mother is ill in hospital. I think she has some sort of cancer. They don't really they don't explicitly explain what the illness is, it's but yeah, I have to agree with many fans that it's well worth a watch. Hmm. Next up is Interstellar by Christopher Nolan, and it's got quite a got it's quite well written. I'm quite a fan of space travel movies, and as is my ex girlfriend. It's and It goes to show how age. I think it's got some themes of the aging process and you know family relations. Um, it's going to probably take a little bit of rocket science to say, but uh, next movie is National Lampoon's European Vacation. Yeah, this is another one of the films from the Vacation franchise. This one, the Griswolds they've won a competition for a game show called Pig in the Poke Show, and yeah, they travel around Europe, including my home country, England, and London. Then they go to Paris, and then Germany, and then Berlin, and then Rome. Yeah, I think I love the cameo from Mel Smith. He's pretty funny. Um, how he how he he's I mean he's the hotel manager and he's running it with his mum and yeah, it's quite a slob as well. And he refers to the Griswolds as Yanks. A little bit of a nitpick. I think Audrey. I mean, even though I think Dana Hill played quite a good role in this, I think whines a little bit too much. I mean, yeah, I can sympathise with her. Um, the fact that she's being separated from her boyfriend throughout the vacation, and at one point the boyfriend has confessed that he's now ditched her and is seeing someone else as a result of how long the vacation's lasted. Well, I do love Rusty's interaction with that hooker in when they're in Paris, much to Clark's dismay. Too many moments. In fact, I would say Dana Hill as Audrey. She's got a great voice. It's such a shame that she died quite young. And the next one is another vacation movie. This one's being National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it's. I think I like this one a little bit better because I think slightly more amusing bits. Did quite feel for Clark uh, when he starts ranting about his Christmas bonus and why he's so furious because yeah, he was gonna. I mean, he was going to treat his family to a swimming pool. I think one nitpick I have is well, I think yeah, the actress for Audrey, she was perfect. Though the actor for Rusty, I think he was a little bit too young. Well, it looks a little bit too young. Because I mean, I know that I think I always got the feeling that Audrey was the older sibling and Rusty was the younger one, considering that each of the actors were considering each of the actors' age as the movies went on. But well, I think the previous one, which was European's Vacation, I think is about 15. Rusty's about 15, but he looks more 12 or 13 in Christmas Vacation. Uh, what could you do? Next one is Escape to Witch Mountain. Um, very adventurous. Very, um, it's a great story that involves children. It was great research for one of my assignments of that writing course that I did. And now we've got another one of Lynn Ramsey's films, which is We Need to Talk About Kevin, um, which, yeah, it's quite a dark film. It's about this kid who seems, who's pretty evil. He's got a very strained relationship with his mother, but somehow doesn't treat his dad like crap. But yeah, he misbehaves a lot and seems to greet in his diaper, and in fact, it's hinted that he might be on the autistic spectrum, but I think he's kind of trying it on, and it gets very it gets quite I don't know how to put it um, quite chilling, you know, with the use of the music, which was composed, which I think uh, was by Johnny Greenwood, guitar player out of Radiohead, and does it quite well. Fits the atmosphere, and yeah, the kid grows in Kevin himself. He grows into a kind of a murderous jerk, and he's well, you get what I mean. And his mother can't seem to can't seem to handle it very well. Next one is Contagion. Well, actually, come to think about it, I think I wrongly said that Children of Men was the one about was one about getting contagious from the virus, but actually this was it. This was the one that Aries was. Uh, my girlfriend at the time was talking about, that the one that she was the one that introduced me to that film, and yeah, it does have quite a indeed make its point about contagious diseases. Not a lot to say though, I must admit. Next we have the 12 Tasks of Asterix. That was one of the films from the Asterix franchise that I'd never seen until last year, of course. And it was very entertaining. I mean, it's one of those silly looking um, films that satirizes the historical moments. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but the Asterix films or stories were always a lot of fun. Speaking of Asterix, we've also got Asterix versus Caesar, and yeah, in this one, Obelix is in love, and yeah, he can't help himself. He very sweet natured. I mean, he's quite a large oaf. Um, Often teams up with Asterix, and yeah, he does have a lot of heart. Number 10 is Une vie de chat, and number 9 is Lucy by Luke Benson. Now, number 8 is number 23 by the late Joel Schumacher. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I watched this in memory of Joel Schumacher because I heard that he had recently died by then. I'd also always wanted to see it. Yeah, it had Jim Carrey's starring in his one of his most serious roles. Yeah, it's a nice break from his comedy performance. Most because yeah, we do. I think most of us remember him mostly for his comedic performances. Well, there's also Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, which I've got to admit, I never liked that film. I always found it boring and overrated. Number 23, on the other hand, I thought was underrated and quite well written, as a matter of fact. And yeah, it's one of Jim Carrey's best roles, I think. At number 7 is Mommy Dearest. I don't know why people dislike this film so much. I personally like that one. It's about yeah, if I remember rightly, it was yeah, basically Mommy Dearest is based on a memoir which was written by Christina Crawford, who was adopted by Joan Crawford, who apparently was abusive and manipulative towards Christina, and yeah, it's and yeah, it does. I mean, it's got a lot of dramatic moments with Joan abusing Christina, and it was and yeah, we really did feel for Christina, and it was. I think it was. I think yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, it's not. You're not gonna. I mean, you're not gonna feel comfortable seeing it at times. I mean, especially with the wire hangers scene. But I think with films like, I mean, probably not gonna feel comfortable watching Schindler's List all the time either. It's um, but it's definitely worth a look. Next, we have the following, which I think is an underrated film by Christopher Nolan. In fact, it's one of his very first films. It's about this novelist who follows people around. You know, I mean, for research purposes, because yeah, because that's what writers need to do, isn't it? Apart from quite short as well, only 69 minutes. Very well, um, quite very well written, I would say. Next film is The Explorers, about a group of kids. Um, it's by Joe Dante, and these kids, they build some sort of spacecraft so they can go into outer space. Um, definitely one, yeah, definitely a family film, which is worth a watch. I would say. I mean, I know it flopped, but I know it was show broadcast, even though the Live Aid concerts was being performed, but still, definite. I would definitely say have a take a look at it. It's very very adventurous. Next one is another family film called Flight of the Navigator, which I think was one of the Nostalgia Critics' favourite Disney movies. Very good. It's about a kid who think of basically a 12-year-old kid. He's abducted by aliens, but then transported from 1978, but to then to the present year at the time, which was 1986, and he hasn't aged whatsoever. But the rest of his family has a very interesting setup. It's by Randall Kleiser, the same guy who did Grace. It's very very underrated. Number 3 is National Lampoon's Vacation. And, well, I'd say that's my favourite. I mean, it is the original one. It's the one that started the franchise in the first place. I mean, that's not the case with all the film franchises I've seen. But, yeah, it's hilarious. It's awesome. It's got a great setup. What Clark wants to do is he wants to spend more. Basically, he wants to spend more time with his wife Ellen and their children Audrey and Rusty. And to do that, they book a vacation to Wally World, which kind of reminds me of Disneyland. I mean, Marty Moose, yeah. I mean, although he sounds like Goofy, I think his name's supposed to be a reference to Mickey Mouse. But yeah, it's every minute of the film. It's hooks me to that film. Every minute of that film keeps me hooked. The way they're singing whilst driving along, and all the mishaps they come across, when they drive through that roads closed sign and then end up damaging the car tires, and Clark sharing a beer with Rusty. That's absolutely funny. And of course, the build up, and of course they meet Cousin Eddie and the family. I especially do. I think, speaking of which, I especially love the argument that Audrey has with Vicky whilst on the seesaw. That is that's awesome cinematography. The way cameras are pointing to both the girls on the seesaw whilst it's going up and down. And well, I think there's too much to say about National Lampoon's Vacation. It's hilarious, and since then it's become one of my favourite film series of all time. I've become a huge fan of it, and that's what prompted me to watch the rest of the Vacation films. Even though I did watch the 2015 one first, which doesn't seem like a good sign. The As for Vegas Vacation, I saw it early this year, but that's another story. And now the really awesome two movies, um, starting with 1917 by Sam Mendes. Very dramatic war movie. Me and my girlfriend went to see it in the cinemas. Yeah, and I mean, technically, it's won the 2000. I think it was put up for the Oscar nominations for 2019, but didn't come out in England for until that year, that 2020. But yeah, it's highlights the dramas of the war. Kind of like Saving Private Ryan, Full Metal Jacket, and so forth. And I do like how the cinematography follows both of the main characters across the battlefield. Yep. That leads me to number one, which is The Little Prince, 2015 animated movie. I think this one's a French film. Got Jeff Bridges and Ricky Gervais and Albert Brooks in this one. And yeah, it's about a girl who bonds with this bloke who's an expert in aviation, and it's quite a very good one actually. I mean, yeah, basically she's living with her mother, and she's scheduling stuff for her daughter, but meaning that they've got no time for leisure. But I'm a huge fan of aviation. I love aircraft. I think that was why I watched it. But I think actually, if I remember rightly, I was recommended this movie from my ex girlfriend, and and it was very well recommended, I must admit. And I mean, of course, I've seen these stories where these kids they bonded these bonds with those new friends of theirs behind their parents' back, but this was done quite well. But of course, it's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of drama. It's got some great imagery. It's it's absolutely awesome. I can't recommend it enough. So that's all of the movies I saw for the first time in 2020. I would have done it sooner, but time constraints. But it's yeah, that's but yeah, that's all of them. And sometime soon, I hope to be ranking movies that I saw for the first time in 2021, sooner than compared to the production of this video. But yeah, thanks for watching.